chart. Is that accurate, first of all? And if so, why Avery over Cordero?
It is pretty accurate because that's what he plays. He's a dual returner for us. So I see him, we see him as an organization as a dual returner for us. Last year he did a really good job of great decision making and being the kickoff returner and punt returner. So that's what we see him as.
His mic's not open.
It's not on?
No, you're good.
I'm good? All right, sweet, let's go.
So, okay, but so I guess, is he the kick returner instead of Cordero? That is what I'm getting.
We have multiple kickoff returners on our roster. Whether you go with OZ, you go with Avery, you go with CP back there, Tyler Algier, he's one of our returners as well. So we have and then Bernie, Jared Bernhardt. So we have multiple returners back there that could return for us based on certain situations. At times we'll have 2 returners back there. At times we'll have 3 returners back there.
3 returners?
Yeah. It is. You have to back 3 guys. With the NFL rules, you have 8 guys on the front line. You have to have 3 guys behind the 40-yard line. And all 3 of those players back there are considered returners for us.
So, I mean, Cordero has lobbied multiple times that he wants to get the kick return record. Does that play into decision-making at all with him?
No, it's just more so just putting the best 11 players out there. If he's one of the 11 guys out there, if he's our main returner, our job is to gain extra first downs for our offense, to give our offense great field position, score, or set up a score, Mike, when it comes to that. Just so happens if he breaks the record while doing so, that's a bonus. But the objective is this week we're focused on New Orleans. We're focused on being able to help our offense and defense with field position and making sure if we have opportunity to put points on the board that we execute and get that done at a high level.
Are you confident Koo's ready? Saw him warming up a little bit, taking some kicks yesterday.
You asked me if I'm confident in Koo, if he's ready for
season.
Of course. Why? I mean, yeah, of course we would always be.
You get into work to be ready for the season. We don't get to see him y'all way over there on the other field, so that's what I'm just asking because you're the expert. And I didn't get to see him.
Oh, yeah. We're always confident in Koo. There's a reason why he's here. There's a reason why he's our kicker. There's a reason why he's been the most accurate, one of the most accurate kickers in the NFL last 3 years. So that's an easy question to answer.
How the coverage units coming along after you cut down and got to start getting guys in place for those?
Oh, we're excited about our coverage units. It's a great opportunity for us to go out there on Sunday and to be able to build off what we've done during this off season, during training camp, D-led, and during the preseason games, and putting the best 11 guys out there with the combination of our kick and coverage being able to work together with location, ball placement, being able to get off blocks, and being able to finish on the football to eliminate yards by the returner.
Y'all have some veterans that could be considered core special teamers, but what about some of these younger guys who made the 53-man roster on Quentin Bell's popping into my mind, maybe Troy Anderson. Which of those guys have impressed you and do you think could make a big impact on special teams?
I feel like all the guys that are on 53 when it comes to the linebackers, tight ends, running backs, the defensive backs, I know we've done a great job this offseason and going into the acquisitions with the draft and the free agents, bringing in some guys that have special teams experience or have the ability to help us on special teams. When you talk about our young guys like Troy, AK, D'Angelo, those guys coming in, being able to help us on 3 to 4 phases, it's a great opportunity for those because they're an extension of our defense. When it comes to coverage units, they provide athletic ability, versatility, which is big for us, and being able to play with speed and effort when it comes to the coverage, our coverage units, and then also blocking in space. And I know Coach Smith alluded to this before about in the preseason watching our younger guys as well as our older guys getting opportunities to block in space and cover in space and being able to translate what we've done on the practice field and put it in game-like situations. So again, this Sunday is a great opportunity for those guys, whether it's the older players or even the younger players, which you're talking about, to put their technique to the test and be able to compete.
The practice yesterday in Larry Ranch, is that particularly helpful for returners just to get used to a sort of a different environment, a different view?
Oh, at Mercedes-Benz?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's our home field. Any opportunity we get to practice on our home turf, be able to, deal with the lighting, things in that nature is always a great opportunity. The when it works field position, working our technique, working our fundamentals, working our hand placement, getting underneath the football, those are all great opportunities, whether we're catching live punts or if we're catching live kicks or if we're catching the ball off the jugs. It's always a great opportunity for us to be in our home stadium as many times as we can, whether it's in the off season, whether it's during training camp or preseason.
For returners specifically, though, is there a difference between a dome and and an outside rep? You hear about shooters. I mean, for instance, if you put a basketball game in the Georgia Dome or whatever, you hear it takes guys a little. The depth perception is just a little bit off. Is the same thing true?
I think the biggest thing when you talk about returners is more so the lighting and the wind factor. If we're playing outside, there's always going to be a wind factor in stadiums, basically, particularly how stadiums are built and how they're located in different regions that we're playing in. No different, like if we're playing in Seattle in a couple of weeks. The wind plays a big factor in that. Also, too, the sunlight. Where is the sun sitting at in comparison to where the ball flight is coming from the football? When we're playing in a dome, that pretty much has advantages to the punter because he could go both ways, or the kicker, he could go both ways. When we're playing outside and you know that the wind pattern is going from left to right and we're kicking up, like let's say I'm the kicker and I'm kicking downfield, the pattern's from left and right, we'll probably know that the ball is going to go to the kicker's right or left. Same thing for a punter. So that's an advantage for the return team when we know which way they're probably going to kick the ball based on the wind. When you play indoors, the kicker has the advantage where he could go either way with the football, or the punter could go either way with the football, especially with the NFL hashes being more narrow than college. They could go flip the field. They could have the ball in the right hash and still punt left, or left hash and still punt right, or right hash and still go right. So in that perspective, as returners, for our returners, we have to be true to our technique, our urgency to go see the ball off the punter or kicker's foot, have urgency to go get underneath the football so we could be in a position where we could get vertical with the football, to answer your question.
I don't know if follow on that because I never thought of this before. How do you practice wind?
How do you practice with
Yeah,
that?
how do, like you're talking about Seattle in a couple weeks. How can you rep that during the week?
Well, we get wind outside. So anytime we get an opportunity for our punters or kickers to punt into the wind or against the wind, where we're punting into the wind, where we're punting and the wind's facing us, we have opportunities to work that. There's days, whether it's during training camp or during OTAs, we'll punt into the wind or we'll punt with the wind. Or if the wind's coming from right to left or left to right, our punters and kickers will work those scenarios. So it's more so for our kicker and punter. For the returners, it's pretty much we know which way the ball's going. And if a guy does want to punt into the wind, we use the jugs too. The jugs, we could shoot the jugs into the wind for our guys. Whether, hey, let's say the wind is facing us. We're the return team and the wind is blowing at us. All right, we can shoot the jugs, that's easy. But let's say the wind is blowing from our back toward the jugs machine. So the returners and our three returners are in the back three, that we're working the short kicks, which is the ball placement. Like, so we think the ball's going 2 yards deep in the end zone, but if they're kicking to the wind, like Buffalo, for example, with the lake effect. Now we got to go shorten up our drops, have great communication with our three returners on who's catching the football. So that's how we work that return aspect. We could use the jug machines with punting into the wind, against the wind, left to right, right to left, facing us, not facing us. For our punters and kickers, it's the same thing. They get to kick into it or kick against it.
So like, if you see it's a windy day out, like, are you the one person in the building who's like super excited?
I mean, we could use wind to our advantage. You know, that's the thing. We don't stray away from that. It's just another advantage for us. And the more detailed we are when it comes to understanding the wind patterns, having a great anticipation about wind patterns or how the precipitation is going to be for that game, as a team, we could use that to our advantage rather than let that handicap us. If that makes sense, Mike.
Against the Falcons, a lot of sacks and so forth.
Well, thanks, dude. What are we going to start with?
A lot of sacks.
Yeah,
and
can't wait to answer that one.
Little tackle
Yep,
philosophy.
good player, plays hard, really good player in this league. I mean, you know, again, the stats, I'm sure, back up exactly what kind of player he is. It's really for the whole defense. I've said this last year. Yeah, there's a few players that obviously are different. Same caller. He's just now the head coach. I respect absolutely everything he's done throughout his career. Every time I've played him in here or different places, he has his guys ready to go, and the team plays with an edge, specifically defensively. And no different than if it's Cam Jordan or anybody else in that defense. They play a certain style of defense, X and O wise, but also what their culture is. And it's a great test for us.
And Lattimore, I had a Lattimore London matchup, but it might be Lattimore or somebody else. What are you, how do you kind of work in dealing with you got a top elite coach?
Yeah, sure. I mean, and again, you look at what he's done, you look at what the rest of the secondary has done. And to me, they're all their matchups and how they play us is something where they're going to be aggressive. They're going to make you win at the line of scrimmage. They've got great confidence in what they do, and they've got great confidence in each other. They play well as a unit. No difference if you're talking about the front seven or the back four. And to me, Marshawn is just another player in that system that plays with a certain edge and a certain style. He's a great player, but he's one of many great players in that defense that we have to be ready for.
How do you, speaking of that, the new safeties, Tyrone and May, how do you try to put them in there, project them into that defense?
Again, it's week one. So, they're able to do whatever they want to do through the off-season studies. Again, we have to be sound in what we do offensively. The plays that we believe in, that we feel are good against anything that they can bring to us because we know the ins and outs of them. They're going to have adjustments. We're going to have to make adjustments. It is week one. You don't know exactly what they've done in the offseason. And I'm sure they have something here for us. And it's our job as coaches and players to react to that and have great adjustments as the game moves on. But be comfortable in what we're doing, which is the core plays in which we believe in, and be confident in running those.
Last one for me, Demario Davis.
Yep.
He's in the middle there. Coach said he's one of the best in the league. What's your level of respect or prep for that guy?
I'm sure everything's been said about him in terms of how good a player he is. I'll just echo it. A lot of those guys make that defense go. He's right there at the top of the list. The way he plays, but more importantly, how he brings the intensity, guys feed off of it. He's a very crafty player. He'll show you one thing, do another. And again, being a division opponent, we obviously seen some of these players, but the reality is, it's a very good unit. So we have to be sound in what we do.
You talked before about positionless offense in some ways and wanting to be positionless. Do you see that from Dennis Allen's defense too? And he's kind of trying to.
Yeah, what I see from Coach Allen's defense is someone who goes out there. The players are very confident in what they're doing, regardless if he puts a dime package out there or he plays in base defense or sub defense. They have the ability to show you one thing pre-snap and then get to something post-snap. And the reason how you can do that well is guys know exactly where they need to be when the ball is snapped. There's a tremendous amount of confidence in their ability, but also what the strategy is and what they're employing. Again, like I said before, I've gone against him a number of years, have a ton of respect for what he asks his players to do and how they play. And obviously nothing's changed with him being the head coach now.
Have you seen more of a growth or more of a push towards the whole positionless concept, even across the league maybe in the last half decade?
Yeah, sure. I think anytime you're able to get players, regardless of position, and you can show the defense something and then post-snap give them something different, or they can't anticipate potentially what you're doing, sure, that's the advantage of the offense, right? Because we call the play in the huddle and they have to react. The reality is, like we talked about before, those players are few and far between. It sounds great in theory to be, hey, this guy can do this, this, and this. The reality is most players are really strong in certain areas and they know how to play away from their weaknesses. That's how they've gotten to the top level. It's a rare combination where a guy is really good at everything and therefore you can move them all to all different spots. But anytime you can stress a defense with multiple players doing multiple things, but the defense doesn't know maybe what's coming, sure. But the reality is those players are definitely few and far between.
I don't know if this even makes sense as a question then, but is it easier to find we'll call it positionless or like multifaceted versatile player on offense or on defense?
Yeah, that defensive question would be better suited for Dean or other defensive coaches. Offensively, look, there's certain positions obviously that where you think, hey, potentially does he have the ability to carry the football or run a route? Or, right, now you've seen even with New Orleans in the past, obviously with a quarterback who's able to do both of those things. Look, the NFL is the best of the best. You may have been able to do that in college, but when you come to the NFL, everybody's good. And the reality is to find those players that can really do it at a top level, I think is, again, it fits more in the non-reality world than the reality world. But sure, this is what the offseason is for, right? You're trying guys at certain things. You want to give guys chances to see if they can do it, if they can grow into it. But when it all comes to a head, you want to make sure you're putting the guys in the best position possible.
Coach, do you feel comfortable if Drake can go that he's got a good grasp on the offense and got enough reps?
Yeah, look, the way that we go about practice is pretty simple. If you're out there with a helmet to practice, we expect you to know mentally and physically what you're supposed to do. If you're not out there in practice, obviously that's a different issue. But when we're out there, we're counting on everybody to be responsible and professional and know what their assignment is, and then obviously execute it physically. So if you're on the practice field, that's the expectation of the coaches.
Does your offensive line look different to you this year than last year?
From diet-wise, health-wise?
Haircut, whatever, wherever you want to take it.
Look, I don't look at it that way. I think it's another year of being in a system which they know the calls, the same position coach. We've put new pieces in here. We've added competition. So where that unit's going, just like other units, I think the best thing that happened for us in offseason and training camp is we provided competition for each room, and guys had to go out and earn their jobs. And guys felt as if they earned those jobs, and there was a sense of, okay, accomplishment, and now we come together as a unit. And again, we're going into week one. There's a lot of unknowns, right? You hope your players and you expect your players, just like us coaches, be prepared to go in. First game, you got to be anticipating potentially any issues where you're able to correct. And I think the players and coaches, that's our anticipation going in. Have a plan, be ready to adjust.
Are you going to be in the box or on the field?
It's a personal question. No.
That's fair.
Yeah. Look, I don't. We've had conversations. Not sure anything's cemented yet in terms of where I'll be.
Does it matter?
I've been told I have a face for radio. So if that's where you're going for, I'll be up in the box.
I was not
But
going
no,
for that.
We're there. I get where you're going right now.
Who told you that? That's
A lot
not
of-
very nice.
Yeah. So no, we'll have that. I'm sure you'll see me in one of those two spots. I can guarantee that.
Hey, Grady.
What's happening?
Hey, how's everything as you all get ready to open the season on the defensive side of the ball?
Everything going good, man. It's an exciting time. We're excited to get back on the field, compete, live action, and, I'm excited to see what the team got.
And I was just looking at it, looked like 9 of 11, 9 new starters on the unit. How's the unity part of it coming together?
The unity been really good, since OTAs to now, man. We've been putting in some good work. Brought a lot of new guys into the program, and, man, guys just bought in, and the guys have made it the right stuff, and we excited to go to work together.
Against the Saints, stopping the, what about stopping the run in Kamara? I imagine it starts there.
Yeah, without a doubt, man. Everything run through him. He's been one of the best, not only backs but players in the league for the past couple of years, and so we got to give him his due respect. But at the end of the day, we got to play well up front, stop the run, and got to do what we do.
Hey, Jameis, didn't play last year, but, you had some experience against him. What are some of the issues? And it looks a little different in their offense than Tampa Bay.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely out of all the, quarterbacks I done played, man, in my career, whether it's from college to pros, he's one of the top as far as competes. He's just a super competitor, man. And, he's going to go hard to the end and just straight willpower, And but he a good player, and, so like I said, we got to give him his respect for that. He can make all the throws, but we got to definitely try to put pressure on him and, keep him uneasy in the pocket. And I'm sure he'll have him in the right position, so we got to do our part as well. But, it's always been respect for him when he was down in Tampa Bay, whether it's at Florida State, now him with the Saints and me still here. So, it's definitely going to be a tough matchup, and I'm sure he's excited to be back on the field, and we want to compete against, the best they have to offer.
And a couple of guys said, they don't notice the difference between year 1 and year 2. Coach Smith, how's he been with you guys?
It's been good. He's been consistent, and he's been clear about the message he want to get across and the team you want to put on the field and what do you expect from us, and that's all you can ask for when playing for a coach.
Grady, Coach Pease talked about, just gushed about this defense as far as how you guys are cohesive, and he really likes this group.
Yeah.
What makes it different this year?
I think it's just guys working together, going hard. The message is clear from what they expect, and guys are giving it their all. So I'm super, super excited, and I think we just a group that just got a big chip on the shoulder, And at the end of the day, if the expectation for us was sky high, whether they bottom low, we would come with the same mentality, and we going to dog people out. We're going to attack the ball, and so I just think it's about us internally, what we expect from ourselves versus the external. I think that's what he's so excited about.
Typically in the past, you guys don't have division games until later in the year.
Yeah.
start off the season, it's kind of odd to have a division game right off the top. But talk about that and just setting the tone.
Yeah, man, you know, this is, you know, like you say, setting the tone. I mean, rival opponent, division game, start the season. I mean, you can't ask for a better start to the game, you know, so it's best. I mean, I enjoy playing division early, you know, versus waiting what we had to do in the past, man. We had, you know what I mean, 7 division games in 9 games. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That was tough what we did a couple years ago, you know, so to start it off like this, I mean, you can't ask for a better starter.
What's it like when you face like the same guy over and over? Because you've been in the league long enough, you face some of the same interior guys like 6, 7, 8, 9 times.
Mm-hmm.
What's it like when you do that? Like, is it different? Is it like, do you have like, not that you're joking with them, but like, is
No,
it,
you
like,
never.
What's that like?
I mean, it's definitely a new task every year, you know, because I always take the stance of, you know, every moment, new moment, you know, and just the same way we're preparing, they're preparing for you as well. So when you play somebody over and over, and, you know, especially if, you know, if it's 2 great players, you know, it's a reason why y'all going against each other over and over. The team didn't catch you. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's nothing but respect. But at the end of the day, the best man going to win on that day, you know. So some days somebody might get one up, some it may not be. Then maybe another time somebody, you know, just get the best of somebody. But at the end of the day, you know, every year is a new year, every game a new game, and you got to take it with that approach, because if you think you know everything about this person, you know everything, you're going to get caught slipping. You know what I'm saying? So you got to do your due diligence and give every game, every moment its due respect.
I didn't even mean it like that. I meant more just like the fact that you've seen that guy over and over. Is there like a little bit like, oh, how's the family? Or like, oh, hey.
No. I think it's always respect. You know, it's always respect. But at the end of the day, we both got a job to do.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's clearly understood mutually. So everything else will take care of itself. You know, but at the end of the day, we got a job to do.